some fear. I mean, we went from a K-shaped recovery to a V-shaped recovery, and now we're at the point where we're at an inflection point. I kind of disagree with the Fed in here, that this is just transitory. I'm a little nervous about where wages are going so quickly, gas prices, housing.
Bingo. And right now, you get 200 megabits per second for just $49.99 a month and business phone for $19.99 a month. Call 833-919-2122 today.
Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited. All are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. StrikeForce Technologies helps to prevent cyber theft and data breaches for governments, consumers, also companies. And with me is George Waller, the Executive Vice President and co-founder of the company. Welcome, George.
Well, thank you so much, Jane, for having me.
So let's just start with, I understand that you were recently upgraded to the OTCQB, and you're looking possibly for a NASDAQ listing at some point. So can you bring us up to date on that?
Sure. StrikeForce has been a fully reporting company since we became public, which was in 2005. And even though we were on the pink sheets, we found it extremely critical for both investor confidence to report our financials and any and all regulatory filings. This way there was total transparency. So what we feel is now building on that investor confidence by now meeting the OTCQB's listing requirements should, one, give our investors, a lot of confidence in the company, and two, it helps us as we move up to the next step, which is to get onto NASDAQ. So the CEO and the rest of the team is looking at the requirements, NASDAQ requirements, so that as soon as we can meet them, we'll be filing to get on the NASDAQ.
Okay. Now, you briefly mentioned SafeVChat. So that's a video conferencing tool. How would you compare that to like Zoom and Microsoft Teams and some of the other video conferencing tools that have become so popular during the pandemic?
Sure, yeah. If you think about what happened with the pandemic, right? Everyone went into their homes, their basements, their attics, garages, right? We all started working from home. That's when we actually developed our SafeVChat. When the pandemic hit, we, just like everyone, because we're located in Edison, New Jersey, Edison, especially New Jersey, was one of the first places really hit hard, if you remember back then. And what had happened was, we were dealing with customers, we were dealing with, potential customers, we were dealing with ourselves using all these video conferencing solutions. We were using Zoom, we were using WebEx, we were using Meet Me Now and Join Me and Zoho and BlueJeans. We tried every one of them. And Jane, we didn't feel secure in any one of them. Not a single one did we feel good or safe or secure. And when we were talking with customers, for example, a customer had a data breach and they're calling us to now use our technology, we didn't feel comfortable talking over a video conference with a potential customer because none of the systems protected the data. They didn't protect to make sure that only the customer was the only one that could log in. They didn't protect my desktop. They didn't protect my camera, my microphone. They didn't protect my speakers. So anything that the customer was saying could be heard if I had spyware on my computer. And so what the CTO started, Ram, our CTO, he started looking into and saying, why is there no strong security-backed or security-minded video conferencing solution? And the answer was actually, it was almost overwhelming. It was that there isn't a single cybersecurity vendor that built a video conferencing solution, and there's no video conferencing solution that was ever built by a cybersecurity vendor. That's why all of the video conferencing solutions out there are so ineffective when it comes to, security.
So now you mentioned privacy lock. So tell me what that is. How does that work?
Okay. Privacy lock, while Safety Chat is the exciting one, right? Because it's video conferencing, we all do it every day. Privacy lock is probably the most important software that any Windows computer in the world, Windows users should be using. Because what Privacy Lock does is it locks down your camera, it locks down your microphone, it locks down your audio speakers out, it locks down your keyboard, your clipboard, and prevents unwanted screenshots. So what that does is it makes our Safety Chat even more secure, because now, even if I was a hacker and I was able to get, spyware onto your computer, I don't even need to log into your video conference. I could just watch the audio stream by infecting your computer. I could listen to what you're saying, but more importantly, I can listen to what everyone else is saying just by using that spyware. I could listen to your microphone, so I could watch what's being said between multiple parties. I can listen to what I'm saying, but more importantly, I can listen to what everyone else is saying. And then there's locking down the keyboard. If you get that spyware, most likely it has a keylogger, and it's going to steal anything you type. It's going to steal screenshots. So what we did, Jane, is we built a solution that locks down all of those pieces, and we bundle it with Safety Chat. We call it a Safety Chat Premium, and it gives you both of them. You can get Safety Chat by itself, but you can get the Premium, which includes the Privacy Lock, which makes you super secure, or you could buy Privacy Lock by itself. Now, the coolest thing about Privacy Lock is not only does it make Safety Chat more secure, it protects you when you're on Zoom. It protects you when you're on WebEx or Meet Me Now or Teams. So Privacy Lock actually makes all of our competitors' software more secure. We make them more secure than they are now. So when you buy our Safety Chat, and the reason why we built it that way is we know that when people buy Safety Chat, and let's say they buy the premium version with Privacy Lock, we know they're going to also be invited to other people's, conferences. Therefore, we can protect them when they're on someone else's conference.
I see. Mm-hmm. So
and
they
that's
don't
important.
have Safety Chat. They have some other video conferencing service. They're still protected. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if a company just spent $500,000 and they just integrated, they spent the last year, integrating Microsoft Teams or one of the other programs, well, guess what? We can now make that acquisition that they rolled out, we can make it more secure by protecting those cameras, because guess what? They're not protecting your camera. They're not protecting your microphone. They're not protecting what the client is saying. So, but we can, regardless of which solution you're using. That's what's so exciting about Privacy Lock.
Okay.
So I thank you for the opportunity to share that.
Thank you. Great to hear about the company. Well, Kylin says it is doing for data what DeFi did for crypto. And so with me is Dylan Dudney, who is the Chief Effort Officer and also a founder of Kylin, to kind of explain what all that means. So Dylan, welcome. And I guess just start off and give me an overview of Kylin and what it is you're doing.
So Kylin is essentially a data blockchain, and what we mean by that is we're built on Substrate, we're built using Substrate, and on top of Polkadot. Polkadot itself is like a layer 0, and many different parachains will be put on top of that, acting like layer 1 blockchains. We are looking to be one of those parachains, or a layer 1 blockchain, and we're basically a validated data blockchain. What that means is we're able to take data from various different sources, anything that can be represented by zeros and ones can be validated by us, put on chain, and then can automate different smart contracts. And that's sort of like the technical viewpoint of what Kylin is.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That was very technical, and thank you for that. No, that's good. No, I'm glad we have that background, but how would a consumer or use this, or a business use this?
So we have the slogan, doing for DeFi, or excuse me, doing for data what DeFi did for crypto. I better make sure I get my own slogans right. And basically what we mean by that is if we take the trend of DeFi in crypto, which was basically a way for traditional financial instruments like yield or collateralized loans to be echoed within a decentralized environment, we're doing sort of the same thing for data, or at least we hope to. We at least hope to be on the leading edge of what we see as a very large trend coming to the fore in the next year and a half, which is decentralized data, or a new term that we've come up with, D-data, and so in the same way that, in 2017 and 2018, all the way through to late 2019, we had these, idle crypto assets, right? Like we had BTC and we had ETH just sitting in wallets, sort of doing nothing. And then all of a sudden we had all these things we could do with them that were, really interesting and remunerative. We see that same trend occurring for data. So whether that's data on chain, right? So for example, wallet behavior, very, very, very neat to start to understand, somebody's wallet behavior, attaching it to perhaps an identity, and then you can assess credit risk. These are interesting applications, but there are also enterprise level applications. For example, how do I monetize or sell data in a decentralized way?
Yeah, well, data is the new oil, I hear. So, and it sounds like it could be even bigger than oil, at some point. So, describe to me some use cases so we can have a better sense of exactly what it is Kylin's doing.
Yeah, so the use cases I really like to talk about are, there's a couple that I really hone in on, or three that I really hone in, because I think they're really interesting, and they're a bit like lightning rods for people's interest. So the first that I talk about is, this may sound like science fiction, but tokenizing genomes, right? What that means is an individual could basically put their genomic information in an anonymized way on chain, and then sell it directly in a decentralized way, P2P, to researchers. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'd never do that," or they're very interested, or they have privacy concerns or things like that. But or they think it's too far out in the future, and that seems weird. But the thing that's really interesting to think about is that it's actually happening right now. Companies like 23andMe and Ancestry.com, they actually, half of their rev gen, close to half of their revenue generation comes from selling your genomic information on the back end to researchers. So it's a business model that's already operational, but like many business models, they have a point of centrality that they're filtered through. Many business models that rely on individual information. So that would be one thing that you could do. You could tokenize your genome. You could throw it on a decentralized marketplace. You could basically monetize yourself, literally.
Well, very interesting. And Dylan, I hope you come back and because I think this is a story that is going to be continuously told over the next few years. So come back and update it. Yeah, I'd
love to. And I really appreciate you giving me and the project a venue to discuss, what we're up to. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
I think Pennexx is a publicly traded company which brings deals to social media. And with me is the CEO, Vincent Risolvato, to explain a little bit more about what Pennexx is all about. So great to see you.
Yes, nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
So let's just start with, give me an overview of Pennexx.
Pennexx is a publicly traded company, ticker PNNX, whose patent pending product, yoursocialoffers.com, brings deals and coupons to social media. We create savings opportunities for consumers and affordable, effective means of advertising. We also are developing products in other industries such as cybersecurity, business services, and artificial intelligence.
Okay, so what differentiates YSO from other deal sites like there's Groupon, there's Rakuten, Slick Deals as well?
Well, none of those other platforms give merchants such a diverse way to grow their business. We have over 15 different ways to share deals with consumers through social media, as well as customer loyalty, charitable marketing, debit card incentive programs, and others. We also have a business solutions influencer program that can supercharge marketing by sharing with millions.
So how does a business or a merchant use your products?
It's very simple. Major brands and small businesses alike can save money on marketing and help relieve the saturation of marketing efforts. It literally takes just a few minutes to sign up and share deals to millions. Success is fully tracked with reports on our website, and registrations build a database for future targeted marketing.
Can you explain Pennexx's financials?
Yes, we have little debt, we are profitable, and expect explosive growth during the second half of this year. We are completing an audit and applying to become OTC QB exclusive company. We are staying very busy, and I'm thankful to have such a great team. Our projections look very promising as we launch our national program.
Mm-hmm. So what if a merchant isn't able to use digital marketing, or they're unsure how to market on social media? How do you help with that?
Yoursocialoffers.com can help them set up and manage their program. We offer the same level of service that they would associate with other top traditional marketers.
Okay. And then why would Pennexx be a great stock to own this year? Can you tell me a little bit about where you're traded and that?
Well, we really believe we represent a unique growth opportunity because we are an early stage company, which is merging the multi-billion-dollar social media and deals industries together. And we're currently experiencing fast growth. It's our belief that our value will increase dramatically as we add users and brands. The fact is everyone wants to save money and grow their business, and YSO does so easily and affordably.
Okay. Well, I will definitely check it out. Thank you so much, Vincent, for joining us today and telling us more about Pennexx.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We have seen a lot of hacks, ransomware attacks in the U.S. recently. And with me is Alon Gahahi, who is the founder and CEO of GlobeX Data, to talk about that and how secure their product may be able to prevent some of these things. So great to see you again.
Great to see you, Jane, and hi to everybody who's watching us.
Yeah. So let's just start with, I mean, we've, of course, had SolarWinds. We've had the JBS meat plant attack. I mean, that was Brazil, but they have a huge U.S. operation. The Colonial Pipeline. I mean, there's been a lot. It felt like a lot there week after week. I mean, what's kind of your viewpoint when you see these stories? What are the things that you think about being a privacy expert?
So all of these hacks, you know, and by the way, the JBS affected North American plants too. All of these hacks are essentially happening because the software systems in the world, the global software system that has been built over the past decade or two has relied a lot more on open source coding. And what's happening now, when you do open source coding, it means that you have a lot of people that can collaborate to improve the service and the code, so they function well. But the problem is that somebody can reverse engineer it. You have hackers that maliciously penetrate a developer group. And essentially, it's like imagine the secret formula of Coca-Cola, right? So, and then you can recreate Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola, which is what they do now with hacking. They put malware, they put everything like that. And all of these hacks, they really start with email penetration, because the source of information, the biggest communication style today for businesses is email. So a hacker will get in sometime for several months, watch your email account, trying to get information to see, any kind of thing, from password to your servers all the way to the, I don't know, how you process meat, or, what do you do for your pipeline? And what's happening is the email system today is dominated by Google and Microsoft. And the problem is that both have been compromised. We've heard about SolarWinds attack with Microsoft. This is the first time that the source code of Microsoft was stolen. And that's a huge thing, because it used to be that if you have your server and you have email exchange from Microsoft and you kept it in your own environment, you were safe. And people used to say, well, I don't want to put my email on the cloud. I'm going to have my own environment. That's no longer the case.
Yeah, well, perfect lead in that. Can you explain to me what Secure can do? And I know your focus is on privacy. So let's talk about how people can put privacy, security together. How are they different, and what do you do? What's your solution?
So the first thing that we do is we don't use the big tech platforms. We have our own platform, so we're not running our software on Amazon Web Service, like I would say 98% of the software company, from Signal messaging to Dropbox to whoever. Even LinkedIn is using AWS. So we don't use AWS, Microsoft, or Google. That prevents 99% of the hacking to start. We also never developed in open source coding. We have our own proprietary technology, so we don't have millions of developers out there with our secret sauce that they can reverse engineer. So those two concepts are simple to understand. Don't go on the big platform, don't go on open source coding. On top of that, we store everything in Switzerland. Our sister company, the original company that started this whole development, is Swiss. I'm Swiss myself. And in Switzerland, we have the strictest data privacy laws in the world.
Thank you so much, Alain, for joining us, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you, James. Thanks, everyone, for watching us.
Graphene is a leading supplier of high-performing graphene and also production. And so with me is the CEO, Mike Bell from Singapore here this morning. So Mike, let's just start with graphene. I was looking a little bit at your website, and I have to admit, I don't know a lot about graphene. So explain what it is, what kind of everyday products is it used for?
So graphene is a really new material. It was only discovered sort of 16 years ago and has become a bit of a wonder material. The downside is that it has taken longer than what people assumed to commercialize it and actually turn it into products. The first hurdle was for people to actually work out how to make it in enough volume and in a repeatable quality to be able to then use it in products. And the second complication is how you distribute it into different materials. So firstly, graphene comes from graphite. It's what you call an allotrope of carbon. It is a very, very fine powder in most cases, and it's typically 6 to 8 atoms thick and comes in like a dinner plate shape, but very, very small size. And it has some really, really fantastic attributes that were sort of discovered in the process. It's exceedingly thermally conductive. It's very, very electrically conductive. It resists corrosion. It's a fire retardant. It's water repellent. It improves the durability and abrasion resistance of material. So it's got some great attributes. And what we've been doing over the last few years, along with many other people, is working how to use it as an additive to then add in to other materials. So those attributes can be combined with materials, and so you could improve the abrasion resistance of rubber, or make a plastic casing more thermally conductive or resistant to scratching, etc. So there's lots of applications. It's an exciting material, and it's one material that doesn't necessarily just associate itself with one industry or one material. It's a huge potential. It touches every industry, every material out there. So it's exciting. In terms of products that actually use it today, this is something where we have had success over the last few years. We've taken our time to develop it with early adopters, and we've got it into things like glass reinforced plastic products, so swimming pools, boats, surfboards. And what it does is it helps those products be lighter, more durable, and also more resistant to water ingress. So for pools that are basically installed in ground, the groundwater doesn't leach into the pool and damage the composites or the GRP.
Very interesting. And is the advantage here that it is more durable, lighter? Is it better for the environment and makes products longer lasting? So what's kind of the secret sauce of what makes it such a special material?
So when you look at attributes like fire retardancy, it's a naturally occurring fire retardant. Its resistance to abrasion means that everything that is in a wear type situation, it can extend the life of. And that's great for the user, maybe not so good for the producer, because you're trying to get products to last longer. But if you take a case of tires, for instance, if you make tires last longer, it means you ultimately use less rubber, and subsequently you're easier on the environment because you're disposing less products. So that's probably a good example to show how it would impact. The same goes for shoes. We put it into shoe soles. The effects on the rubber sole gives it a greater grip, but it means it lasts longer, so people get more value for their money, and we're also disposing of less materials.
Interesting. I saw on your website you had like work boots there, and I'm sure, there are people that are in industries where they need work boots. I mean, to have them last longer would be a good advantage.
Yeah, that's right. And it's so our partner in Australia is called Steel Blue, and they're a global company that make work boots across a number of industries. And they've now launched a new product line that includes graphene to make the shoes lighter and stronger. It means they don't have to use some of the heavier materials for equivalent or better protection. So it's a real advantage to them and their users whilst maintaining a very, very high level of comfort.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. I learned a lot about graphene and graphite today, so thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for talking, Jane. I appreciate it.
In the middle of the business day, anything can happen.
We are invested in your success.